Good morning, good morning. What's happening out there? This guy's got a ladder out there, is he? Oh, he's adjusting the lights. I think. Doing something with the lighting. Not quite sure. Or cleaning. Can't zoom from here. So. Good morning, good morning. I guess he's cleaning up that place because that place was jumping yesterday. Absolutely jumping. It was a beautiful Sunday yesterday, shirt sleeve weather. And Asakusa, the streets of Asakusa yesterday looked like they did pre-pandemic. Well, in terms of volume of people, the streets were just jammed with people, but no foreigners, of course, and also only young people. It's the whole mood of this district has totally changed. It's not just me. There's a bunch of people worried about this. I was chatting with some of the people who have the shops nearby here, and they are a bit worried about this now, because the whole mood of the district has totally changed. It's become a slug it down, get drunk, and get raucous district. Late last night, there was people staggering along the street. The whole mood has changed now. It's no longer for adults. It's for just kids to get drunk. Really not a pleasant mood. Open the shop has no meaning. Those people are not the slightest bit interested in what we do. But it's good to see the district alive and well. And the guy on the street corner there with that new thing, he's paying this 2 million yen rent. And we're thinking he's crazy. He's coining it. I stood outside yesterday. I went for a long walk, about a 3-hour walk yesterday. Shirt sleeve weather, over the river, up to Arakawa, back down. I got back down, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He opened at 11 and he closed at 8 or 9. They still have to close early because of the pandemic. And I got back around 5 or so, and I stood outside his place because it was the noise and the energy and stuff, and people are lined up to get in, and I counted heads. I'm guessing on what there must be upstairs. There was like 80 people, 80 seats, whatever. And if you do the math, 80 seats full, drinking, maybe each person's paying $20 or something like that. There were people lined up. He's turning over 5 times a day. He's coining it, absolutely coining it. And they were all, Hopi Dori was just jumping. So from the point of view of these kind of people, they would just take over everything. If I left here, it would be a bar. A week later, this would be a bar. The landlady, she's actually, whatever, I shouldn't talk about this too much, whatever. If she was simply after money, that's it, we would be history. We would be history. When the tourists come back, maybe it will settle back down. I really don't know. This is really interesting. I mean, the world has changed a lot. The world has really changed. And how much is going to come back and how much is not going to come back, I don't know. I suspect it's not going to just simply go back to the way it was before. There's some structural changes have happened. And the airlines, paper's out. Yes, paper's out. Suga-san has already come. She came just on the camera just before I opened it up. She doesn't have paper in the freezer because she's making new paper today. She's printing a batch of the yokai, not yokai face-off, the new yokai set. I've forgotten the name of it. And Ayumi-san is coming today. She's printing JJ4, and her paper is out. Yeah. Calamity, I can't remember the name. So, no, the point about coming back, the world coming back, there's a couple of interesting stories over the weekend in news magazine stuff about the airlines. And the airlines are staggering back. ANA here has become a domestic airline. Qantas in Australia is now a domestic airline. The American airlines are running mostly just domestic. Whether international travel is going to come back, it depends on a couple of things. One is that every cheap flight to get overseas requires 20 people sitting up front in business class. They're paying huge fees that pay for the rest of us who sit in the back. And the idea is that those people aren't coming back. They've learned that teleworking and Zoom and everything works just fine for the bulk of their business, so they're not coming back. And without them, that can't subsidize the back of the plane. So given that with the business class gone and just tourists in the back of a reduced number of flights, our ticket prices are going to be double, triple what they were before. And that's clearly going to crimp the volume even when it does become physically possible with the virus vaccine passports or whatever is going to happen. So I don't know. I am not optimistic about anything coming back here. In our mind now, we are an online business, period. We've held on to this shop thinking we'll open a museum gallery space here, but I still have no idea. We haven't started construction because just I don't know. Just I don't know. Okay, you can see what's going to be going on this morning. I'll be doing just more. I'm going to hair carving on the dog, whatever. Just carve a bit here. I'm not going to touch up puppies yet. They're really small still. I'll finish the main dog first, and maybe I'll do the calligraphy, and we'll come back and finish off with the puppies, I think. They are small, and I'm not sure if this was a good idea to do this, because they are small. We can carve small stuff. You saw me do that with the yokai the other day, but printing it together with other things, it requires a super delicate touch. Whatever, we'll handle it when we get to it. Okay, let's do some work here. We have a show and tell today. Oh, I've lined it up in the wrong place. Hang on just a sec. I've lined it up in the wrong place. Just a moment. We do have a show and tell today, an extensive show and tell today. We won't be able to see it all. We will take a look at what it is, and then we'll take a browse through part of it. And we'll see, when we get to it, we'll see. It's, let's see, the number 54. If I give you the number 54, you should be able to tell what our show and tell is going to be about today. 54, not 53, not 55. Those are something else. 54. Hype, whatever. We have some. We'll never get through them all because there are 54 prints in the set, but we will have a look at it. 54, Ronin? Huh? Huh? What have you been smoking, John? Well, the camera out there this morning, I had to put it in a different place than usual because of the sunshine. We're just at the time of year when the sun shines directly into the camera. So I had to bring the camera in a distance from where it normally sits. And I got in trouble with that the other day, you know. Last week when I was doing the stream from upstairs, I put the camera outside on the balcony, the sky cam. And I almost destroyed it. I was using the, what do you call it? It's an octopod, that thing with the little camera tripod that has flexible legs. So I put the flexible thing onto the balcony railing, mounted the camera on it, and started to get it ready and put the cables together. And the octopod slipped while I was doing it. And the camera direction slipped, and I'm whatever, okay. I worked with the cable, got the cable back on, and then tried to figure out what was going on, and nothing showed in the computer with the connection. And it turned out that when the camera had slipped then, and I was fumbling with the cables, the camera was on, and it turned out the slippage, it pointed it right directly at the sun. So for the 30 seconds or so that I was mucking around with the cable at the bottom there, the camera was turned on and pointed right directly into the shining sun, and that was that. So it wouldn't show anything on the screen. And I was thinking I had perhaps just totally burned out the sensor. So I shut it down, unplugged it, waited a few minutes, put it back on, and totally normal. But I could have totally destroyed it there, I think. I guess it's a consumer-grade camera, so I guess they know consumers do stupid things with it, and this consumer did. So I guess it's protected, I don't know. Dangakusha's got it, so 54. Dangakusha has it. There's only one major Japanese traditional thing with 54. He's got it. So given that hint then, if you know what the theme is going to be, and you know that this is woodblock prints, a bit of Googling might show you, I can't find where we are. A bit of Googling might show you the prints we're going to look at today, who knows? I can give you some more hints about this then if we have fun with this then. This print set we're going to look at today, if we didn't have our Mokuhankan collection, I wouldn't have bought this. Because Dave himself doesn't actually like the kind of prints we're going to look at today. But if you're going to have a good collection of 20th century representative Japanese printmaking, traditional Japanese printmaking, this set needs to be in it because it's a big deal. But Dave personally would not have actually gone for this. So Jacques got an interesting question here, and this is the thing I don't know, Jacques. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I know we can handle it. You see, can we pay the rent for the whole of Saxon building based on current online sales? That's what we've been doing for the past year. We're still profitable. We're still, we're still above water. We're paying the rent for the entire building. We have nothing left but an online business, and that's been the case now for a year, because last February we closed it in March. So we've been now a full year. So the answer is yes, we can do it. Should we do it? I don't know. And as I said, last month we put our seal on the thinking vaccines, we're going to be okay. Vaccines are here. We're going to be okay. So last month I put my seal on the lease for 3 more years. So I've jumped off the diving board here, I've jumped off the diving board. And we're in this now for 3 more years. And I did that because, as I said, because we have managed to keep our head above water, 1, and 2, I was thinking vaccines. And we'll see, maybe I'm just being a bit pessimistic here. Maybe travel really is going to come back. And I'm being overly pessimistic. I don't know. I just don't know. I blow hot and cold on this. And the day I signed the lease, I was blowing hot, and today I'm blowing cold. I don't know. Whatever. So. It's whatever particular news story you read recently tends to influence your opinion. Even somebody who thinks he's thoughtful and considerate and smart, like I do, whatever, you still find yourself being influenced by these things. So 2 newspaper stories in a row about the travel's not coming back, and that sort of makes me think maybe the travel's not coming back. So I don't know. You have to keep up in touch with facts and the news and stuff, but you can't let yourself be totally swayed by them. So I don't know. Of course I don't know, I don't know. At the moment we're okay. The people are working, they're feeding their kids, we're doing okay. We're closer to the edge than we were because of the rent, and we're clearly wasting money on rent if that's the way it's going to go. But we're okay, we're alive and we're up and running. Fans are happy. I don't know. It's not the position I expected myself to be in at 70, but whatever. At least we're up and running. So Flyfish's point 2, printmaking and interest in what we do is rising. Okay, yes. So I'm not worried about our business overall. I'm not worried about the business model for what we do. As long as the world economy stays as a world economy, we're okay. The question, it's the first floor of this building and this building itself. Should we continue paying the staggering rent we're paying for no purpose, Darman here, at some point in this year we expect to resume travel. There will be some travel resuming, I guess. But have I got my vaccine yet? No, I haven't. I'm a bit cheesed off with the way it's going here. Japan started vaccinations like a few days ago. We're way behind. We started a few days ago. The original plan was in February the medics will get it, nurses and doctors will get it. Then in March they will start sending the postcards to senior citizens, which is me. So by the end of March, people were, vaccines were starting to be going into arms here in Japan. They're now telling us, the news over the weekend, it's going to be May. Because a couple of things. They're doing like, I think they vaccinated 2,500 people so far after a week. They are so stupidly slow at this. It's just incredible. Another part of it is the European trade restrictions thing has dramatically cut down the number of doses that are going to be sent to Japan. Japan is getting shafted, and it's their own fault because they waited too long to jump into the pool. So the earliest now that they're saying for senior citizens, which is me, is May. We're going to get our postcards in March and April, put our name in to get a reservation, and then wait until the planes arrive. So Australia too, they're way behind, same as Japan. I think they're starting this week, I think. So how is Japan not making their own? Good question. Good question. Good question. Why is Japan not making their own? They're now talking about this starting up the facility to be able to do that in a major way, but of course that's not this pandemic, that's going to be the next one down the line or something. You know. So for me, it's mask up, stay home, no restaurants. I was thinking I might get a chance to get a bit of personal freedom here next month, but nope. Yeah, they dropped that bombshell over the weekend, you know, scrap March, it's going to be May. I think it said May at the earliest, I think it said. After all the time last year of laughing, not laughing because it's tragedy, but, you know, looking at the U.S. and saying, how could they get it so wrong and how could Japan get it so right? Now we're in the situation where the U.S. is like all going to be vaccinated by May, and we haven't even started yet, you know. Oshibori man, so this guy's okay, totally as normal, this guy. What's going across the street with the truck and the fencing? Nothing. The truck that you see across the street is a booze delivery truck. We'll pop it up here. That white truck is a booze delivery truck. There's a step ladder. The guy's fixing some lights or something at the bar. There's no fencing. The aluminum and orange thing you see there is a cigarette sales company selling some kind of vaping equipment. No construction here. Virus, whatever. So, May. Well, just like any country in the world, Japan is, you know, they do something so well and something so poorly. Paradoxical place, just like everywhere else, just different paradoxes. You know. delayed vaccine thing here. It's because of the bureaucracy, of course. There's the rules about what medications and stuff are allowed to be used. And same as with most countries, those things have to go through, careful checking and regulation and testing and all that sort of stuff before they're allowed to be used. So what's happened in this case is these vaccines too, of course, go into that system. They went in there, months and months and months ago, the beginning of the testing. And Japan's take on this is that they don't accept testing results from other countries so much because, Japanese people are different, So maybe this sometimes makes sense. Some medication or vaccine or whatever that works overseas may not work on Japanese. I don't know. But here, because of the sort of pandemic situation, you would expect to look, we can maybe fast track this or jump it, or maybe we can use overseas testing results and assume they're going to be okay, because the testing that happened in America used lots of ethnic Asian people in that testing. But Japan is not going to accept that. And there's no, the government here, it's a parliamentary democracy, so the big boss, the prime minister, it just means that, prime minister, minister number one. He's not a boss, he's not a president, he has no executive power. So there's nobody, there's no place, there's no position in the government that could say, look, tell you what, this is a pandemic on, let's do it a different way instead. Here's what I want you to do, bang, bang, bang. That can't happen. There's no legal mechanism for that to happen in Japan. So it's the bureaucracy, the government that runs this sort of stuff. So it went through normal procedures. These guys did their tests, and people are dying, and they're doing their tests and their tests. And nobody wants to be the guy that says, look, let's just use this thing, even without testing. Let's do it. We're going to save lives. Because somewhere along the line, somebody is going to get that vaccine and get sick and or die. And that's all you need. One case for that, and that's it. Whoever put their green light on the thing would then be crucified, So nobody's going to do that. Yesterday I was such a bad, such a bad boy yesterday. I didn't do anything. I had my job list at the beginning of the day. It was going to be enough stuff to carry me through. And I got the first part of it done. I had done, so today's Monday, so yesterday's Sunday. On Saturday was the sizing day. So I spent the entire day Saturday sizing. Got my work done, it was good. Got my good boy. And then Sunday's job was to take the paper off the sizing rack where it had all dried and sort it out for each printer and chop it up for each printer and put it in the mail. And I did that only for the 2 printers who needed the paper today. Because if I hadn't done that yesterday, shipped it, they would have no work today. So I was a good boy. I did my responsibilities. Shipped paper out to the 2 printers who needed it this morning. And then the rest of the stack, I sat there around noon looking at it and thinking, the sun's shining outside and they don't need this paper tomorrow, and you know what? And I did. After I had lunch, I just headed outside. It was shirt sleeve weather yesterday. Shirt sleeve weather. I left just after noon, just after 12, and I got back just around 5 o'clock. I didn't have a game plan, where to go, what to do. I just started wandering and headed over to the river here, the river, Sumida River, between Taitoku and Sumida, and started my usual walk heading north, and just didn't stop. I followed the river around the bend, around the big bend, up into Arakawa city. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Totally wasted. Didn't do any of the work I was supposed to do, but, whatever. There's also lots of blossoms started, There was no cherries that I saw. Of course, it's too early for cherries. It's February. But things like a peach and some ume, they're now blossoming in various parts of Tokyo. And in fact, across the street here, we have what's called an October cherry. It's a Jugatsu sakura. You can't quite see it in the camera here. It's just in front of the bag lady across the street here. It's going to be blooming probably tomorrow or the day after. If today is as warm as yesterday, this thing will be blooming any minute now. And that's a cherry tree. It's a Jugatsu sakura, October cherry, and it blooms twice a year, in February/March, and then again in October. It's a really bizarre plant. I think it's something that was grafted up some years ago or whatever. So, and usually every year on our Insta, we put some photographs of this on the plant. So it's not blooming yet. It's sort of trying to. I looked at it yesterday when I came back from my walk. It's stretching, waiting for the moment when it can pop. So we'll get a picture of that sometime next few days. Lots of visitors. How are we? Raiders again? More visitors? Welcome, welcome. Hello. Yeah, I'm not guilty about taking a walk. Of course, I'm whatever. Just of course, it's a normal thing to do, and I'm happy that I did it. But the sort of the problem with that is there is so much work backed up and waiting. It makes it difficult to get away and do days like that. So, but yes, common sense. Of course, I should. There's also something, I saw some fun stuff that I'd never seen before. That walk I took yesterday was up into an area which is, quite far from here, 2 or 3 hours walk away. So it's a place I'd never seen before. There's one place up there along the river. It's on the other side of the river. I was walking on this side of the Sumida River, and you can see across the river. It's expressway, freeways most of the way. And under the freeway, in a lot of places, I can hear this noise, this certain specific clunk, clack noise that skateboard kids make. And there's a bunch of skateboard parks, I hadn't known this, along the opposite bank there, underneath the freeway. They've used this sort of wasted industrial space, and they've turned it into skateboard parks. And a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. I mean, every kid in town was out there. And there's one place where they've built, I don't know what it's called, those ramps where the kids go up on the top and they climb down and they zoom and flip in the air and zoom and flip in the air and all that kind of stuff. And there's one over there that it's so high. I just stood there and watched them across the river, and I was terrified watching this. How can those kids do that? I don't know how many meters high it is. It's high, like a human scale. The kid is standing on top. It's the height, 1, 2, 3 kids down, 1, 2, 3 kids up. And they're going, so if 2 meters, 5 meters, I guess, he scoops down and then shoots a couple of meters up in the air. And wow, I was terrified about that. I've got grandchildren over there in Canada. Boys, are they doing this kind of stuff? Shoo. Dave and Chris, how many hours a week do I spend working? I have no idea to answer that. Recently, it's a totally different mood from when I lived alone by myself before Mokahankan. I got up in the morning, had breakfast, and just did stuff. Not slave drive working, just did stuff all day until it was time to sleep. These days, no. These days, no. I'm wasting far more time than I'm working. And the problem is, and I'm really trying to wrestle with this at the moment actually, you've hit something here that I'm really, really struggling with. The problem is, the jobs that are defined for me, I had to do the sizing because the printers are waiting. I had to send that package yesterday because the printers are waiting. Those jobs get done. But any other job that doesn't have a single defined, man, you got to do this by 4 o'clock or you're in trouble. The planning for the next 8 cats print, it's just whatever, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Planning for the first floor of Bisbee Museum, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. I don't know, I'm having real trouble with all the jobs that aren't organized for me. I don't know, I used to get everything done so easily and so well, and now I'm getting nothing done except the ones that are going to be a train wreck if I don't do something. So I don't know. I'm really unsatisfied with the way things are going, personally for me. I sort of half joking to myself, I need a manager or something to not to tell me what to do every minute, but to help me get this thing organized. Because I'm floundering. I'm absolutely floundering. That's one reason why this stream is absolutely super helpful for me. This stream, I'm good at this. 8 o'clock, you sit in that chair, start this at 8 o'clock, have some work to do it. And I've been doing this, and I'm here at 8 o'clock every day, and I get it done and things work well. But then what's going to happen at 9:30 once I shut this thing off? So the easy answer is don't shut it off, whatever. But the other jobs that I do are not all amenable to streaming, No, I'm really struggling recently, I'm sorry. Partly pandemic, partly age maybe. I don't know. Not contented with the way things are going right now at all. Oh, there was something else news-wise. I was thinking about the jobs and work, what am I going to be doing today? There's a video work happening here today, and it's actually nothing to do with me. I know, over the past week or so, I chatted with you about this. Suga-san is doing printing upstairs on the 3rd print in this year's subscription series, and she's actually finished right now. It's going to be done this morning. And Aoyama-san has been standing in for Cameron. He has been filming, or taking video, of each of the stages of the way this print has been going. And he's been sending it to Cameron, or putting it up on an Amazon S3 bucket, and Cameron picks it up and starts the editing and stuff. And they've been working their way through this, and it's not finished yet, because Suga-san's not finished yet. It's going to be finished soon. And it got to the point where we wanted an interview, the Suga-san to chat to the camera and ask questions and stuff like this. And I kept out of this because it's been the guy's project. It's a project between Suga-san, Aoyama-san, and Cameron. But Aoyama-san wasn't able to do the interview part. So what they've decided to do is Cameron is coming here this morning. He's actually getting on the train. He won't be here this stream this morning. He's not coming this early. He's coming later in the morning, and he and Suga-san and Aoyama-san upstairs are going to spend a couple of hours making video. And I think that's then the last thing. She will be finished today on that print. So Cameron is going to go back, put it all together, make a rough cut. And he will then, once he's ready, he will ask me, Dave, will you please do an intro for this? So that, when it goes up on YouTube, it'll be, hi, this is Dave Bull here at woodblock.com, here at Mokohankan Asakusa, blah, blah, blah. And there's a video ready, but I didn't make it. Let me turn you over to the gang and let's see this video. So that'll be happening now. It's happening today. Cameron is coming today here to Asakusa to do that work. And what kind of video they have made, I don't know. I am keeping hands off this. We have to move Mokohankan to a situation where other people do that work here. Not just me, because I'm like leaving one day, and we need this kind of capability to be distributed around the company. So that's what's happening here today, and I'm keeping out of their way. I assume Cameron can remember how to find the place, I guess. I don't know. I'm not stressed. I'm sorry, I was talking about my job. I'm disorganized. I'm not stressed. I'm totally happy, peacefully sleep, eat well. I'm getting a bit fat. So I'm not happy as in, wow, I'm having such a good time. But I'm content, whatever, quiet. There's no stress, but I am disorganized, and I'm at a time of life, business, job here, when things are at a mixed up stage, and they need sorting out into a more stable situation. I mean, me and the rest of the world. It's not just me, right? It's you and everybody else. Because part of this is our system has been disrupted by the pandemic. But I'm not stressed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, whatever. But yeah, I'm sort of more confused than I want to be, and I'm less organized than I want to be. And I'm frustrated by it because there's so many jobs that I want to be doing that are not getting done, and yet I am wasting so much time. Yesterday wasn't wasted. There was a beautiful walk, peaceful, but I am still wasting so much time. Oh, yes, Karen, good. Tell you what, Karen-san, send me an email about this, because that will go into my email box. I will see it, and I will take the print and give it to Aoyama-san. No, I won't see this later. Send me an email, Karen, please, about that. Good. I would have totally forgotten, Karen. Sorry for it's impolite to say so, but just I would have totally forgotten. Your prints, Karen, the ones that you sent me, they're in a stack at the moment. There's a stack of prints that I've received from Western friends, people like John Amos who came here, I know Fabiola-san who came here, and we're going to, put those in the collection carefully. And of course, also they will get photographed and put up online too. Another one of many jobs waiting to be done. So. The jobs waiting to be done, there's I think I might have talked about this before. There's the guy who's famous on this street, the whale restaurant, Beat Takeshi. He's the guy who, he's whatever, he's a global blah, 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 famous guy. But he's, of course, super famous in Japan. And the reason I bring it up is what's the connection between Dave being disorganized and not getting work done and Beat Takeshi? And I might have used this example and talked about it before. I know Takeshi, of course, he's on like 75 TV programs every week. Okay, whatever. He also makes a movie every year as a director, I guess, whatever. Okay. He also sells prints. He's a print maker, as in I think there's silk screen, they may be offset, I don't know what they are. He doesn't make woodblock prints, but he makes prints. He's sort of big here in the art field about making prints. the Japanese magazines. There's a thing about magazines and stories and stuff, and he has regular columns in a number of Japanese magazines. And what else? I don't know. What else? There's lots and lots. What else goes on? The guy has got his finger in a million pies, and you want to talk about productivity. Wow. I mean, like, suppose Dave wanted to make a Hollywood movie, or, this guy's doing this. He's making a movie every year, a million TV shows a year, magazines. He's doing all this and all this. Like, wow. How do you do that stuff? Well, there's two things involved. One thing involved is that, there's staff involved all over the place. There's a million staffers. The TV programs, I mean, he does nothing. I know because I've been on one of his TV programs. I was there for the rehearsal. Put your tape here. There's a piece of tape on the floor that says Takeshi, and the staff member stands there, and you do your rehearsal. Then count down 10 seconds before the program starts. The doors come open. Bang, in he comes. He says, "What are we doing today?" They say, "Stand here," and he asks questions. And then when it's over, he's gone. So, okay, I get that. If everything is organized for you, prepared for you, and everything else is done by everybody all around you, then you can get a lot of stuff done. You can appear on 75 TV programs a week when you're not doing any of the work. The movie thing, is that how the movie happens? I know nothing about the background. Is the movie prepared and built and done by other people, and he just comes in and puts his name on it? Or they have meetings and he makes decisions, and then they go off and do the stuff, and they have another meeting and he makes a decision? I have no knowledge of that part of it. The magazine stories, again, I'm just guessing how this might work. There might be a meeting, his assistant comes and chats for half an hour, and he spouts some ideas and stuff. Then the assistant goes off and puts the story together, and it goes to the magazine. Maybe that's how it works. I don't know, Nick. I don't know. Maybe he writes them all himself. I don't know. The books and stuff, I think it's probably the same. It's staff members. So he's adding the ideas and the creativity, and then other people are doing the stuff and putting it all together. The printmaking thing, well, of course, they're made in a factory. He's not actually involved in the making of these things anyway whatsoever. How much of the artistic part of it is his? Again, I don't know. It's all hired out. He puts his names on, or he spends a couple of hours each evening doing this sort of stuff. I don't know. So I guess what I'm struggling to try and get to is that I have this feeling that I got so many things I'd like to do. I don't want to make movies, but there's so many jobs. We've got to build our museum. We've got to build our collection. We've got to do more David's Choice videos. We've got to do more Dave's philosophy videos. This book to write, The History of Dave in Japan. That would be a bestseller. There's a million projects, and I'm doing none of them. And I'm getting older day by day, click, 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 click. So it's sort of growing. The idea is growing that, not that I need a ghostwriter, but that suppose I had some kind of, is it possible to hire an assistant who would help me organize stuff like this so that I could actually do the productive part of it, and she, I think of it as a she, he, whatever, would organize these projects. I tried this last year. I actually tried to do this last year. I wrote an email to a young lady here living in Tokyo, and she had come to do an interview. She'd been one of a team member. The Dentsu News organization sent 5 or 6 people over one day to do an interview. Maybe I talked about it the day they came, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And I had been impressed by her work as part of that team. So I sent her an email last summer saying, "Can you come over and let's talk about some work and stuff?" And she came over and we talked about exactly the kind of thing I've talked to you about now in the last few minutes. And she said she was game. She could look at my website and start this and see how some of this stuff could be put together. And the first little project we were going to do was a book aimed at the Japanese market here, based on the content, some of the content I've built over the past 35 years, the story of the foreigner coming to Japan to do this. And we talked and chatted and made a plan, and she went off and said, okay, she'll try and put this together. And we had a second meeting on this, and then silence, radio silence, nothing. She's just dropped out of it. So I don't know. I picked the wrong person, or she got up against the same thing that I got up against. It was just too big of a problem, too big of an issue, and she didn't know where to start, just the same as Dave doesn't know where to start. Anyway, sorry, funny way the conversation is going. Not conversation, funny way the blah, blah, blah is going here today. Time for show and tell? Not yet, not yet, not yet. I need more minions. No, who's going to organize the minions? More minions here just means more people clutching at my coattails. I don't need more minions. I need... Half the chat says me, me, me. It's got to be somebody here in Japan. It's got to be somebody who speaks Japanese, who can live here and work here. I shouldn't even talk about this because there's nobody out there that can do this. I'm sorry, you know. Yeah, wrong person, try again. I guess so. Takeshi is more a curator of talent. Whatever, I guess, how you define these things or whatever, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say I need to do what he's doing. I'm not interested in making movies and stuff. So it wasn't a specific, it was just a general example. A person who seems to be getting a lot of stuff accomplished, and I guess he has a lot of staff and a lot of people helping him do that, you know, because the money's there behind it, you know. Time for an organization diagram. I've tried this. I'm not going to show you anything, but I have tried this. I've tried a spreadsheet for time. I've tried an organization. I've tried job lists. I've got job lists I have lists of job lists. I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't have started this, but whatever, you know. I mean, that particular one I just blabbed about, that particular example of a job that needs doing, it's irrelevant to most of you out there because it's a book that needs to be in Japanese, totally aimed at the domestic market here, of no interest whatsoever to people overseas. And it's sort of the story of the guy who came to Narita Airport one day with a 3-month tourist visa and 2 little kids and an empty backpack, a backpack full of diapers, and didn't speak Japanese. And then, like, here we are. We don't have an empire here, but we have, you know, whatever, something going on. And that could be a bestseller in Japan. You know, a station bestseller, a book that people sell on the station to read in the train and stuff like that, you know. We're not talking about a literary masterpiece here. We're talking about the book that goes into that section in the bookstore of not how-to books, but what's the genre called? Anyway, it would be cool, but it needs to be organized and then written in Japanese, or written in Japanese first, or whatever. You know. And I'm certain that would be a hit, whatever, hit in small capital letters, you know. Here. And also that would really help our Japanese business, because as we've talked about this before, our Japanese business is just doesn't exist. We gave up on it years ago. And because of that, because we have no profile in Japan, it turns out there's nobody to help us with our washi, nobody to help us make boxes, the tools we're having trouble with, you know, because we're unknown in Japan. But if I had the same kind of profile here in Japan that we had overseas, anytime I talked about we have trouble making boxes, somebody somewhere is going to see that news and say, I can make boxes for you, I've got an empty workshop and blah, 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 blah. So that book idea, that story of this guy over that 35 years, it's not just because I want that book itself to exist, it's because I want to get a better, route for people in Japan who could possibly be an active part of our organization. to learn about us. And they don't know anything about us. We're unknown in Japan almost still. Currently, right now. Some years back when I finished the Poet series, I was small f famous in Japan for a couple of years because I was on TV and things all the time. But that's gone now. That's gone. Nobody knows who I am at all. That's years ago. That's 20 years ago. The days of 1-hour documentaries about me on primetime TV, I mean, that's 20 years ago. That's gone. So it's too bad these days now, just when we would need that type of publicity to really help our project, we don't have it. You know? You know, I've actually got some work done here today, actually, a little bit. The other day I got almost nothing done, but today I've managed to get some things done here. It's good. You can see how this works, you know. If you can just keep your nose to the thing and just keep going, you can get some stuff done. You know. This whole block would really only just be a couple of days' work in real life. You know. Okay for time, right? Yeah. I see my name in lights, lots of questions. Time for an exhibition. Well, the exhibition would be, I don't know, the first floor thing. You know, it would be interesting for Japanese people to How did the Kawai-san sizing session go? Good, I did it, of course. Yes, this was Saturday. He learned a lot. He and Kashiwagi-san learned a ton. They took some video, photographs, notes, and they both tried it. Part of the problem with other people trying the sizing is because our sizing station is a left-handed sizing station. This was no compromise. The bucket is there, left hand in, get the brush, pull it down, size to the left. Bucket, brush, size to the left. It's a left-hand sizing station. So these guys are, now what do I do? And you move your brush across the paper, drip, drip, drip. It's a disaster. But yes, they learned a ton. They had paper, they brought paper with them, and they did it. They practiced on the bare board first. You know, we've got like a countertop thing. First, they practiced with the brush just on the bare countertop, and then they did their paper. They hung it up with mine, and yesterday I shipped their paper. I took it down and shipped their paper out to them so they can try it. So it was good. It was good. Sizing, I shouldn't be doing all the sizing by myself. No, we know that. Yeah, real exhibition. Yeah. I'm not so sure at the moment in the pandemic we have a problem there because there are rules and regulations about having exhibitions and stuff. The Tokyo National Museum right now, you can't just go in there. You have to get online, make a reservation, certain time go in, only X numbers of people can go in there and stuff. So right now, here and now, having a quote, big splash exhibition probably is not the best time to do that. But yes, it could be part of this. And if such a book that I've just sort of blabbed about, if such a book was happening, as soon as that thing was being scheduled and happened, then yes, talk to Takashimaya department store and say, hey, look, this is going on, let's talk about an exhibition. Yes, this one ball rolling could be another ball rolling and away you go. And as you say, with Jed, you couldn't do that because if I brought in the ukiyo-e heroes, that would shut the whole thing down. Nobody else would cooperate. You couldn't have the exhibition with a department store. I could do it by myself, rent a gallery. It would be tough to get publicity if we were doing it with Jed. Remember, this is the ukiyo-e heroes thing here in Japan. This is piracy. This is piracy. And part of the reason why we have such little publicity these last few years is because of this. My status has changed. I'm no longer this foreigner who has challenged the Japanese craft, who has done a really super job. that's still there, but I'm now also a pirate. And media companies have to be very, very, very careful. By doing Ukiyo-e Heroes, I really, and I knew this when I was getting into it, I really muckied my wicket. I'm a pirate. No, there's no fair use in copyright in Japan. There's no fair use. Zero. Zero. You either get a license or you're a pirate and doing something illegal. And we're okay, Nintendo leaves us alone because our designs, the ones I've published as woodblock prints, our designs are, to our way of thinking, clearly heavily parodied. Jed himself on his website, he is selling stuff that is no longer parody, it's just Star Wars, whatever. And I will not make woodblock prints of those because I can't here in Japan. No fair use. There are little corners that are left alone, the doujinshi, the people who do their own little comic books and stuff like that. Society has agreed sort of to leave them alone. Even the cosplay thing now has come to the attention of the government, and you've seen the stories about this. We've talked about this before. The government is now trying to create legislation that will handle the question of cosplay, how this is affected by copyrights and trademarks. There are people making a living on YouTube with cosplay who are in contravention of Japanese laws. And the government is trying to sort out how to write legislation that will protect copyright owners and yet not completely destroy the culture. Okay, I think that corner's done, and I think this will perhaps pretty much do us, yeah. Let's see, it's still a bit early. Get the rest of this, not sure what's in here. Oh, that's an eye, Soka. Be careful, Dave, this is an eye, this is a big deal. Japan has locked down slow day. It's early in the morning here. It's 9 o'clock on a Monday morning in Asakusa. This is a bar district, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's slow. If you're here at 9 o'clock tonight, it'll be busy, but you're at the wrong time of day here. That's why things look slow outside. But another beautiful day. Another beautiful day. Yeah, let's start the show and tell. There's lots and lots. We have 54 prints. We're not going to see them all anyway, so let's do that. SNT. Did anybody have a link? I mentioned before 54 items. Was there a link posted? I didn't see it, but somebody perhaps did catch that, did they? They're outside, yeah. Peacefully quiet. Nice, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. Omi Gallery, Ebina. That must be it. This is Masao Ebina. Yes, so that must be the same one. Not my favorite woodblock prints, but a spectacular production. A spectacular production. And again, I don't know how we're going to do this, whatever. Earthquake coming. That'll do better, I guess. So let me get my knives out of the way. Okay, set of 54 prints. This is 1957. This is post-war, 1957. We have Mokohanga, Genji, Gojuyon. This will be Cho, album. And this album comes up now and then. I don't know, they maybe made some few hundreds of them, I don't know. It comes up now and then. Usually it's pretty beat up. And we see, knock everything over, why don't you? We usually see it in pretty bad shape. The cardboard box here has been a little bit, stained a little bit. But the set itself is okay. But, this is 1950s, and the paper they used for packing this thing was god-awful. This is post-war packaging. Post-war Japan, there was nothing like acid-free paper and stuff like that. They just used crap pulp paper. So I have a problem here in that the prints are okay still, but as we will see, the packaging paper is terrible. So one of our first jobs here is going to have to be to get these prints out of this packaging. But the packaging itself has value for understanding how things happened back in that era. So I don't want to just destroy the packaging and take the prints out. But getting the prints out without destroying them and or without destroying the packaging is going to take some doing. Look at it. This is the paper they used. This is not the printing paper, but I mean the paper for the packaging. And it's whatever, it's 99% lignin or whatever it was in it. And this is 1957. And they were, obviously at that time, they were looking at the foreign market as well. Everything in this whole set is completely English and Japanese. So I don't need to actually tell you too much about what's going on here because we can see it. And it says Tokyo, but the production was almost certainly, all the production must have been done down in Kyoto. The director for printing, I have never heard this name, Kawatsuda-san. Masao Ebina is the designer, and the guy that ran the project is Yamada. And I think he's the person who had something to do with Yamada Shoin, but this is not under Yamada Shoin's name. So maybe the company split, or he's in the same family, or whatever. I don't know. And for an English reader, this is cool. There's so much information here. They're talking about the history of Genji Monogatari, blah, 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 by different people from Tokyo University. Let's get to the meat. And what they've done is, there's one image for every one of the standard chapters of the old Genji story. This is the English title, English contents page. There is also a Japanese contents page. The whole thing is totally bilingual. And for each of the chapters, just at random, each of the chapters, they have taken an illustration that, of course, is of some event that happened in that chapter. We have a chapter, Hotaru. Where have we heard this before? Tamakatsura is sitting in her room in the dreary light of fireflies. Where have we heard that before? Let's take a look at how this is going to work. Clearly, we can't sit here and look at all 54 of these. Let's just take a bunch of them so you can see how the thing works. And of course, I will be scheduling it for appearance in our collection. But whether I do that shooting it now or whether we shoot them after we get them out of the packaging, I don't know. And here's how it works. What they've done is, step one, we have the Genji Mon. This is the Mon, the symbol mark that is associated with each chapter of the Genji book. And it looks almost like the I Ching. It's 5 sticks that are joined together at the top or partway down in a certain way. And I don't remember these all, but somebody who does remember them knows exactly what character or what scene is represented by each of these mon. And then we have a paraphrase of the story. And having this print set box, reading this, that's the story. You can read the story, the Genji Monogatari, all the way through. It's a paraphrase of it, of course. The whole book itself is massively long, full of poetry. They have simply paraphrased it here. And there we are. Under the reign of the Emperor Kiritsubo, there was a court lady, blah, 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 blah. Now, I haven't dug into this yet, because this book is I was going to say it's a sex book. It's not a sex book, but it's all about Genji and his affairs with women. And there's stuff like, one night he wants to see this particular lady again, who he has had previous amorous relationships with, so he waits till it's dark. He goes into her room, he climbs in, and he feels she is responsive. Partway through, the moonlight peeks through, and it turns out this isn't the lady, this is her daughter, and the lady herself is in the next bed, and she says, I am out of here. Now, how they actually handle these in English in a 1957, well, I don't know. Anyway, let's look. I hate when that happens. Let's look at some prints. They talk about the Genji, as being one of the first, or the world's first, or one of the world's first actual novels. So this goes back. This is Heian here. This is the 900s. This is an old book. It's been around, And the pictures here are drawn in by a post-war designer in a quasi-Heian style. And this is not great art. They're pretty pictures, they're illustrations. They're colorful, pleasant pictures. I don't think there's lots of other people who have illustrated Genji with, to me, much better. And as woodblock prints, my God, they just go on and on and on. They are packaged, as you can see. Look at this. Look at this. This is awful. It's the same thing that is going brown. And luckily, so far, the prints haven't really been all that adversely affected. The back side of the prints. So the washi, it needs to be taken out of here. Step one, if we can't get the prints out, put some interleaving paper inside. And step two, get them out of here. They haven't done bad considering they're 65 years old, but they need to be taken out of this packaging. And they're badly glued in. They're really strongly glued in here. If I wasn't concerned about the packaging, I would scissors cut the packaging, lightly dampen this corner of the print and remove the paper off the back. But that would mean destroying the packaging. And I think there are archive-type people or museum-type people who would rather that I didn't destroy this. But I have got to protect the prints. And it's just totally pulp paper. I think it's lignin. I'm not sure. I don't know the chemistry behind it. Like you can see, we've got some metallic pigments here. The washi itself is normal washi. It's just a mulberry fiber. It's doing very well for this era. But it needs to be taken out of here. Well, do I consult with the conservator? We know what needs to be done. The washi paper itself just simply needs to be taken out of this contact and just stored by itself. But it's glued on. And some of them too, the packaging here, this is glued down. So my personal preference would be screw the packaging, take off these top sheets, preserve these. The back sheet is just a piece of cardboard. There's no archival value to it whatsoever. So my personal choice, and the way I may end up doing this, is this. We will carefully slice, remove the top sheets, put these in an album where they can be seen and protected. Step 2, cut away what we can cut away of the backing sheet, dissolve the bad paper off the back of it, and put the prints in an album where they will carefully be preserved. But then the whole thing as a collectible item will be destroyed. But I think there's no choice. That's what we have to do to be able to preserve the prints. Because if we don't, these prints will simply pick up from the back and they will be foxed beyond belief. Okay, let's look through some of these prints here. This is Genji the hero. I forget, this is I can't remember well, but chapter by chapter, I don't remember well. Well, okay, here we go. Let's look at this. This is a little bit of this, just to give you the taste if you've never read the Genji Monogatari. What have we got here? There are two ladies here, okay? Rather than me read this, let me just put this up for a moment here so you can actually read yourself the first couple of paragraphs here. Oh, this is it. So this is what I mentioned. Soka. Cautiously pushing her bedclothes aside, he bent over her. Suddenly he was taken by surprise. The sleeper, whom he had taken for Utsumi, was not her, but her stepdaughter. Prince Genji felt embarrassed. He was not sure whether he should permit himself the indiscretion of taking the wrong lady. But he was attracted, blah, 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 blah. She rose from her bed and silently got out of the room. This is the kind of stuff, so we're not going to see, this is not a shunga book. We're not going to see any of these actions here. But this is what the book is about. That's chapter 3, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. I can't look at the back here because these are all pasted down. I can't even open this. So, and again, you've seen this before in our prints. This is Kyoto style printing. The white you're seeing here is not white paper. All the white you see here is white pigments. She has her face printed white. This is printed white. There's white on white here. Can we get an angle that will show it here? There's a white pattern on the fabric here, printed with white on white. Who's winning? I believe they have just begun, I guess. I know nothing about Go. It's interesting. It looks really interesting. I'm sure I would have sort of enjoyed it. At my stage in life now, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I have enough to do with my life without getting involved in another game. Some of these are a little bit worse for wear. Now we have some creases here. This one is foxing. Foxing has begun. These prints need to come out of this packaging. How did they deal with the pregnancies? Well, they come back into the story. I know later on in the story he has amorous adventures with people, whatever. I don't need to go there. They were babies. That's funny too. It's not related to Genji, but a while back, we talked about it here. This was a couple of months ago. Somebody, maybe it was John Becker, they posted, there was a video, not a video, it was an old film that had been taken in Japan maybe in the 1910s or 1920s or so. And some of it was in Asakusa here in Tokyo. And it had been, now it's up on YouTube now as a new video. And it's astonishing when you see these street scenes of Tokyo. They were of Tokyo and Asakusa, and a quarter, a third, a half of the people visible on these street scenes are kids. There are rugrats everywhere. I mean, there's people walking around, there's a guy shopping, doing this and doing that, and then everywhere there's kids. And there's kids who are carrying kids on their back. And a pre-modern Japan, pre-modern everywhere, whatever, women must have just simply been pregnant all the time. There's kids everywhere. It makes me really realize that the contemporary society we know nowadays, walking out here in Japan, I saw no children yesterday here in Asakusa. I did when I was over in the park. But compared to 100 years ago, there were kids everywhere. This is Waka Murasaki, the young Murasaki. The prints are pleasant, and I sort of dissed them a little bit at the beginning because it's not Dave's preferential style here, but these are an achievement. They're staggeringly complicated, multicolored woodblock prints. What you're seeing here, can you see it? Can I get it shine there? So it's the usual thing with this Kyoto printing. They've used metallic pigments. They're pleasant enough, you know. Also, too, something to mention about this book, if you may see it on auctions, sometimes really, really cheap. Be careful before you bid on it. There's two versions of this. There is the woodblock print version, and then published later, there was an offset print version. So when you're bidding on it, if you see $10 for the set, oh my God, I can't believe the value I found, be careful. If you get the woodblock version for $10, you have got a stunningly good catch. But there is an offset printed version out there as well, a mass market version. So be careful. That might not be a shadow, that might be a stone platform, and then we've got the gravel of the garden. I don't know. I'm not sure that's a shadow. Or maybe it is just weird. Yeah, maybe. This could be the shadow of the Engawa. That could be the shadow of the table. I don't know. I mean, this is not great art. There's no illusions here. This is not... this is simple illustration. And maybe Ebine-san thinks he was a great artist. I don't know. No idea. Let's just see a couple more. Like I said, we can't go through 54. We will get them in the collection. We will get them photographed properly. Excuse me. Oops, sorry. Patterns here again too, same thing. This is all metallic pigments here. There's a gold metallic on the kimono and a silver metallic on the obi. They're pleasant enough, and the story is there. So this would be a very nice day's, if I had a free afternoon or something, sit there, get some tea, put these on a low table with a nice light, read the story. It's been years and years since I read the Genji Monogatari. My God, before I came to Japan. And I read one of the classical translations, Side and Sticker Kana, and I read it with my younger Western, where's the story? What's the plot? Where's happening? Who does what to who? It doesn't make any sense. It's just really poetic moods and feelings. It's not something I would be anything feeling for. It's not Dave's kind of stuff, So. If somebody's titling these, Hana no En, Washi Tree is putting the titles in. Are you reading them off or are you looking them up? Hana no En, The Tale of Genji, Volume 8. The silver here is, most of it is aluminum. I don't see any mica on these. The silver I'm seeing on this one is aluminum. Very common in this era on this kind of Kyoto stuff. When we see the silver on the Japanese, on the Tokyo prints, the surimono, it's almost always suzu no fun. It's what we call nickel silver in the West. It doesn't tarnish as much. Real silver goes black very quickly. This is mostly aluminum. They still do this in Kyoto. They have the Aoi Matsuri, Hollyhock Festival every year when they make a parade, just exactly like this. They've got a bunch of old carts and bullocks and preserved kimonos and stuff, and there's a major parade every year in Kyoto. I guess perhaps it's cancelled this year for the pandemic. I don't know, I'm sorry. But you can actually see this scene exactly as it is here, like this, every year in Kyoto. Okay, one more, and let's wrap this up. Look at this. Before we move on to one more, though, look at this one. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. This one that we just saw, we turned it over, and look at this. The fox, it's something with the oil. That's the back of the print there. Look at that. No, it's a different print. It's the next one down. Yeah. Next, how can I do this? Can I show you this? How can we do this? Look at this. Print number 10, with its cover sheet, has somehow impressed onto the back of the cover sheet of print number 9. Let me get the cover sheet out of the way here for a second. So the blacker areas here on print number 10 have somehow gone through that cover sheet and reacted chemically somehow with the back of this sheet, with the back of the packing. And it's all the black areas. It's the black hair, his black hat. I have no idea what's happening chemically here. The sheet in the middle doesn't seem to show any trace of this. But somehow there's been a chemical reaction between that print and the back of this one. Interesting. Okay, last one for now. Number 10. When you compare these with the more modern ones we see from Okada Yoshio, we've got 4 of the Genji prints from Okada Yoshio. And his are just to die for. They're just fantastic. This is a generation before him, and these are, whatever, we don't see real people but on Okada Yoshio's one, we see real people. So this to me is a bit too childish. The prints are nice, they're pleasant. There's the things to look at, the sparkly here, the nice carving and printing. But for me, there's very little art value or any value in looking at these emotionally. Nothing. Who was that? That must be Ayumi-san, was it? She's heading upstairs? Or was that Aoyama-san heading in for his day's filming? Okay, there we are. We're getting late. I've got to get upstairs, see what they're doing with their filming. We'll leave it there. This is 54 sets. There's 44 more. Lots to look at, lots to read. At some point, we will indeed have them in the collection. I can't reach my mask, so I can't put it on. Today is Monday. I'm now off for 3 days. My cycle on these streams, in my mind, it's Thursday, Saturday, Monday. Take a break. Thursday, Saturday, Monday. Off. So I'm now off the stream mentally. I will be back here 3 more days from now. I guess I'll still be carving the dog. I'm not really quite sure what else. There might be other work coming in because I have to find more work for Kawasaki-san. There's more tracing work that needs to be done on one of the upcoming cat prints. It's possible I'll be doing that. I'm not quite sure. I haven't got that sorted out yet. Anyway, there we are. I got a fair amount of work done today here. Very much. See you on Thursday. Thanks very much. Should I pop up the outside scene here just for a second before we go? Another beautiful, gorgeous day here in Tokyo. I might even go for another walk this afternoon. Who knows? Okay, guys. Thanks very much. See you next Thursday. Thursday for me, Wednesday for you. Bye for now.